Is West Dakota Fox News at 9 with Molly Martinez and meteorologist Henry Blakes. Your first news of the night starts right now on West Dakota Fox News at 9.
Good evening, I'm Molly Martinez. For months, there have been worries over trade wars and how hard it will hit North Dakota farmers. Now, 47 members of the House and 8 senators are tasked with hammering out a massive farm bill to address agricultural and food assistance. All 3 North Dakota lawmakers are hoping to plant a seed in that bill to ensure that our state comes out ahead. Peter Zampa has tonight's top story.
They're political appointments, no question about it.
Politics firmly planted in farm bill negotiations. The Senate and House have come together in what is called a conference to pass a massive agriculture and food assistance package in hopes of sowing certainty for farmers and those who rely on the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. 2 of the lawmakers selected to the conference committee, Senator Heidi Heitkamp and Congressman Kevin Kramer, opponents in one of the most hotly contested Senate races of 2018.
Chuck Schumer wants to hang on to her seat in the Senate.
Gary Nordlinger says it's no surprise Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer chose Heitkamp for the committee. He says the same about House Speaker Paul Ryan choosing Kramer. Agriculture is king in North Dakota. And Nordlinger says being able to show their constituents the power of their voice in the national agriculture conversation is crucial.
She'll be able to say, I saved this for North Dakota. He'll be able to say, I did this for North Dakota.
Kramer is not on the House Agriculture Committee, but he'll represent the Energy and Commerce Committee in discussions. Heitkamp is one of the lower-ranking members on the Senate Ag Committee. She says she's played a vital role in writing the Senate version of the bill.
I will have the opportunity to have input on all parts of the Farm Bill. Congressman Kramer's input will be limited.
I wrote a lot of the stuff that's in the House bill. So, you know, a seat at the table is what you need to have the influence that we're all going to have.
Kramer says he expects to be called back early from the House's month-long break to begin meetings on the legislation. In Washington, Peter Zampa.
Let's throw it over now to meteorologist Henry Blakes for our first check on weather.
Yeah, weather is improving. Know what more to expect later.
All right, thanks, Henry.
You're welcome.
A potential school shooting scare and arrest in Mandan. Mandan police say the suspect told his mother he was upset about breaking up with his girlfriend and that he was going to shoot up a school. That's when his mother called police. 20-year-old Eric Earhart has been charged with terrorizing. Prosecutors say his mother was concerned he was going to carry out the threat because he has access to several guns at his father's house, although he also told her he planned to break into the National Guard armory to steal automatic weapons. Police say when they talked with Earhart, he admitted to making the threat, but wasn't sure how or if he would actually carry it out. He's being held on $5,000 bond. Richland County authorities are releasing the names of the victims in Saturday morning's house explosion in Wahpeton. 84-year-old Mavis Onchuk died. 22-year-old Cole DeFries and 25-year-old Danielle Faller were treated and released from the hospital. A bizarre he said, she said in Mandan. Police arrested 31-year-old Virginia Forbes of Mandan for hitting a man in the face and threatening to beat him up with rings that he gave her. Officers say she called police when the man was sleeping and told them that he wouldn't let her leave. But he told police Forbes kept hitting him in the face and said he was going to kill him. Forbes was arrested for domestic and aggravated assault and terrorizing. This morning, family, friends, and supporters gathered to pay their respects to Olivia Lone Bear. Researchers found her body inside a pickup in Lake Sakakawea on Tuesday. She had been missing since October. There will be a walk to honor her and other missing Indigenous peoples Thursday morning at 9 a.m. at the Four Bears Bridge. Burley County Commissioners are drafting an ordinance that would allow them to raise money to renovate the old jail in downtown Bismarck. The ordinance would allow the county to issue up to $9 million in bonds. Those bonds would be paid back with sales tax revenue. Sales tax is already in place. It was approved by voters to build the new jail and renovate the old one.
This is just the same half-cent sales tax. It's just we're at the point now where we can start utilizing that sales tax for the renovation and remodeling.
Glatt says the county already has some money put away, so it won't likely need the full $9 million. Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao is in Bismarck today for an energy and infrastructure summit. Chao says our state will be a leader in technology development. Andrew Horn explains what that means exactly.
We think that the local government and the people of the state know best.
Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao says the administration is trying to step back so states can step forward.
They understand the state, they understand the important role the state's playing, and when they're here, they're willing to listen. It's great to have an administration that cares about states and listens to them and wants to empower the states to make decisions locally.
It's the administration's deregulation on issues like gas mileage and flaring that has some people worried about rolling back too far.
We're all for taking poorly thought out regulations or obsolete regulations and getting rid of or revising them. But in the basis, we don't want to get rid of so many regulations that we compromise worker safety, we compromise quality.
Chao spoke on how North Dakota is setting the example for the nation in energy production and security, addressing aging infrastructure, and researching new uses for unmanned aircrafts.
New technologies will increasingly transform the way in which we move and connect with one another.
We need more infrastructure development. I mean, you know, big things are like even taking our natural gas resources and getting them out to other small towns.
The state legislature is trying to take the lead on infrastructure. For West Dakota Fox, I'm Andrew Horn.
Well, some river relief levels on the Missouri keep dropping. The latest reading puts it at about 11.5 feet in Bismarck and Mandan. The Army Corps of Engineers says it's transferring Garrison Dam's releases from its regulated tunnels to the spillways. The Corps opened 9 of the 28 spillways today.
Opted to transition flows from the regulating tunnels to the spillway. And this provides us an opportunity to inspect the regulating tunnels that have been operated for several months, and then to test out the repairs that have been made to the spillway since 2011.
The gauge at Bismarck peaked at 13.4 feet on June 29th, more than a foot below flood stage. The state health department says a leaky pipeline spilled about 500 barrels of produced water on agricultural land about 2 miles northwest of Dickinson. It happened on Friday. At Scout Energy Management reported it on Saturday. Produced water is a byproduct of oil and gas development. There was another produced water spill on Thursday, this time in Burke County. The health department says it happened about 13 miles west of Kenmar at a site owned by Lime Rock Resources. 380 barrels leaked, and the health department says 360 have been recovered. It did impact agricultural land, but they say it was confined to the pipeline trench. Well, after a year of massive losses, more than 300 Basin Electric Power Cooperative employees are taking buyouts as the utility company tries to cut costs. It operates the Great Plains Synfuels plant near Beulah, which has lost more than $200 million over the past 3 years. The company struggled to compete with cheap natural gas available through fracking in the Bakken. Basin Electric employees are about 2,000 people. Well, we're already into August and many kids are nervous about the first day of school. New teachers are also sometimes anxious. The Bismarck School District hosted an orientation workshop today to help teachers build relationships with their students. Jennifer Henry reports.
People are happy, teachers happy, kids are happy, right?
This was the first day of school for new teachers to the Bismarck public school system.
Did you guys have to do like similes or metaphors?
Jody Pappas was born in North Dakota, moved to Colorado to teach for 12 years, and now is back.
My dream job was to become an instructional coach, and an opportunity came up in Bismarck Public School District. So with the dream job and my family being here, it kind of seemed like a no-brainer to come back.
There are more than 70 new teachers in the BPS district. All are learning techniques to become more comfortable and confident with the new curriculum and strategies to get to know their students.
They are not so much worried about the lessons and the books, but that they are understanding the importance of creating relationships with their students, that they have ideas for how to create relationships with their students.
The first day of school, students usually go through orientation. Today, new teachers are doing the same thing.
Whenever you do something new, it's not going to be perfect, so allowing the grace of failure and learning from mistakes.
This year's class of teachers includes 25 who will be welcoming students for their first time. For West Dakota Fox News at 9, I'm Jennifer Henry.
The Department of Transportation says it's doing its part in promoting the new Vision Zero strategy. It's implementing a new policy prohibiting anyone from driving a state fleet vehicle while using a cell phone. Speaking of safety, thousands of motorcyclists were on the road this weekend heading to Sturgis, South Dakota for this year's rally. And with increased riders on the road, the Department of Transportation put signs up reminding drivers to be cautious of the bikers. Already, 4 people have been killed in the Sturgis area in 3 separate accidents since last Thursday.
People need to watch out for the motorcycles, but the motorcycles need to watch out for cars too, because, you know, even though we've been riding all summer, people still aren't looking for us the way they need to or the way they could.
Birch says to expect heavy motorcycle traffic again on Saturday and Sunday as people head home after the rally. Gun violence erupting in Chicago over the weekend. At least 60 people were shot, leaving 9 dead since Friday. And the numbers are grim no matter how you look at them. Fox News' Mike Cantor has the details.
This was the scene outside one of Chicago's hospitals in the wake of an outbreak of gun violence this weekend. Shootings across the city, leaving several dozen injured and fatalities nearing double digits. 48 people were shot in a 15-hour period. 4 were fatal. One shooting incident occurred Sunday, leaving 8 people, including 4 teenage girls, wounded. 2 hours later, a shooting claimed the life of a 17-year-old girl.
Incidents of either random or targeted shooting on our streets is totally unacceptable.
Officials not only blame gangs, but the proliferation of illegal guns.
We have an environment where people do not feel any repercussions for using guns to commit violence, and thus these weapons flow freely onto our streets. Everybody has to be accountable for it, not just the police department.
We have way too many guns on the street and not enough values.
Last Thursday, thousands took to the streets of Chicago to protest the gun violence plaguing the city.
People are dying every day, and we're saying enough is enough.
Despite this weekend's violence, Chief Waller says the city is heading in the right direction with a 25% reduction in murders and overall shootings down 30%.
What I promise you is that we won't be defeated. I mean, I promise this city that we won't be defeated. We won't be overrun by that small group, that small element that's committing these reckless acts. We will not. I promise you that we will not be defeated.
In New York, Mike Cantor, Fox News.
A brush fire in Southern California burns at least 100 acres. It started earlier today in Orange County, about 30 miles southeast of Anaheim, and was heading towards neighboring Riverside County. It is one of 24 fires currently scorching the California coast. Henry, these fires are getting out of hand largely because of wind, and it looks like we've got some wind too.
Yeah, we got a little bit of wind. Thankfully, it's dying down, and that's what the smoke from those fires that Molly just mentioned, that's actually what has been causing those hazy sky conditions over the past several days.
In health news, turns out women are less likely to die of a heart attack if they are seen by a female doctor. Researchers investigated more than 500,000 cases from Florida hospitals between 1991 and 2010. When a doctor was a woman, 11.8% of the men died and 12% of the women died. When patients were treated by men, more than 12.5% of the men died and 13% of the women died. In the Pacific, Hurricane Hector is churning towards Hawaii, but weather predictors expect America's 50th state to dodge a bullet. The Category 4 storm is just over 900 miles away from Hawaii's Big Island, moving west with 145-mile-per-hour winds. Some forecasters thought a disaster was in the making, on course to hit the erupting Kilauea volcano. Now the National Hurricane Center predicts models show Hector sliding underneath the island several miles off the southern course. All right, Henry, looks like they dodged another disaster.
Yeah, most definitely. But unfortunately, hurricane season doesn't end until November 30th. So, yeah, it's still got a lot more time to come, especially with it getting closer to the peak of hurricane season later in September.